All right, good morning, everybody. I just want to make sure you can hear me okay. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me good. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Daniel. I want to welcome everyone here to our session today. And very interesting today. We're going to talk about how to run, a meeting just like this. All right, some of the components that go into it. All right. So let me move a couple things around, and I want to make sure that we are recording. And yes, we are. And as usual, we do record these sessions and we'll send it out to everyone within 24 hours. In a YouTube link, so you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can pause, you can listen again. Makes it so much easier for you to, review the things that you want to review. Okay, so while we're doing this, let me go ahead and get the screen shared. All right, awesome. So today is session 2 out of 12 of the Sales Skills live webinar series, session 2 of 12. Today's topic is how do you run an effective, engaging, and profitable virtual business or sales presentation and training session. Basically, what that means is how do you run a meeting like this? How do you, get engagement? How do you um, make it interesting, right? So I want to make a couple promises to you. The first is I sincerely respect your time and effort in being here with us on this session. And my first promise is this: I will not waste your time. I promise to share relevant and valuable information on this session. And you don't need to believe everything I say. You don't need to think I like and trust Chris. I'll back up everything that I share with you. That's fair, right? Um, Another promise is in this series, the 12 series, this is session 2 of 12. These sessions are not a pitch fest. There's no hard selling, and there's no getting you to buy anything at an unreasonable or inflated price. Now, I may offer some services or products and explain them, but there's no hard selling. This sounds fair, right? I'm going to ask you this question, and what I'd like you to do is answer in the chat. If this sounds fair to you, please help me type fair in the chat. And I'd also like to ask you a favor. Uh, Let me just clear this out real quick. Okay, awesome. Fair, fair. So I'd like to ask you a favor as well. You'll probably have questions, along the way. So either please type your questions in the chat. I will do my best to look at it, or write them down, or make a note of it, and you can ask me at the end of our session during the Q&A. All right, sound good? Yeah. Okay. So I ran my first webinar in 2007. Uh, I believe it was around June or July in 2007 during the summer. I remember because it was very hot. And during summer, you see, we targeted a niche. The niche was chambers of commerce, business associations, things like that. For example, in the U.S., a lot of cities have their own chambers. Even small little towns have their own chamber of commerce. And then there's a lot of associations in the U.S. I guess the equivalent would be like a trade association or a professional body. So the thinking behind the chambers of commerce and the associations is, of course, they benefit their members, but one of the challenges is getting members to join their chamber of commerce or their association. Of course, there's some like the bar or the professional accountants, chartered accountant association. To be able to practice in your job and your profession, you must join some. So we didn't focus on those. We focused on, like I said, chambers of commerce and business organizations. And so they had two main roles. First was to give information and value to their members, and the second is to get more members to pay to join their association. So we created a program how to get more members into your organization or your chamber, and we ran our first webinar back in 2007. That was in that's 13, 14 years ago, and I started in that industry, webinar and teleconference, because I saw that it was up and coming, about 14, 15 years ago. So I learned the best that I could. I actually applied and worked at a company that was doing webinars and conferences, teleconferences, and I worked there for about 6 months to learn that particular industry. So we ran our first webinar. We marketed it. We charged $1 for the presidents, for the executive directors to join the webinar. So we're talking about how to enroll members. Basically, it was talking about how to market to the prospects to get them to join as a member. So we charged $1. Now we didn't earn that. Now that whole year, the rest of the year, out of that particular uh, series of webinars, we didn't sell 32,000 tickets at $1 each. What we did was we had a supporting program, and we ran this program about once a month, each time charging $1, and we generated leads, and we got clients out of it, right? And so the revenue that was generated out of this particular effort was about 32,000 US dollars for the remaining 5 months, 4 months of 2007. And 13 years ago, 14 years ago, to generate 32,000 out of this kind of marketing effort is really not bad. Now, um, over the last 13 years, we didn't focus too much on webinars because it was always like face to face. It was always email, WhatsApp, um, because people are social animals, and we like having interaction, like real interaction, right? I think a lot of us miss that now, and so we didn't really focus on webinars. We probably run maybe one, maximum two a month per year since 2007. Some months maybe we ran three. All right. Now 2020 is very interesting, right? 2020. Now, here's the thing. In 13 years, we were running uh, maximum of one to two a month for 13 years, right? Or 13 years, 12 years, 14 years, whatever it is, right? Since 2007. In 2020, uh, we as a company and me, we've run probably 120 plus since April this year. In fact, I think it's actually way more than that now. The last time I counted this was early last month, so we're probably right around 130, 140 right now. And a portion of them are no charge as a lead generation. Some of them is kind of like CSR to give out information. Um, but we got a lot of paid webinars. We got a lot of training webinars, and we were able to do a whole bunch of trainings in different countries. Um, it was very interesting because everybody was like, hey, how do we do this? So we did trainings, not in this topic, but we did our core proficiency is in sales and marketing. Okay, so current situation is business was already challenging, right? And right now this year, and for the foreseeable future, I don't know if it's going to be until March 2021 or June 2021, or for the next 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. I don't know, and you don't know as well. So we're going to have these extra challenges, because of the pandemic, because of the how the economy is behaving, because of restrictions that we have. My kids are in California. I lived in California, San Diego for about 17 years, and California is a very I would say freedom, a very free state in the U.S. Um, but 2 days ago, they implemented one of the most strict lockdowns and restrictions in the U.S. So there's so many restrictions going on, and we don't know if it's going to pop up today or next week. And so we have to get comfortable with this kind of platform. We really have to get comfortable with that, especially especially if in your if you're in a leadership, management, sales and marketing role. All right, because if you don't have a platform to reach out to your prospects and clients, you cannot go visit them. And for me, I'm cutting down, and I'm very hesitant of meeting up with people that I don't really know, like in a cold call situation or things like that, right? So when we talk about this kind of platform, we've been doing something like this on this platform since 2007, but we didn't get really good at it. All right, it wasn't like we got to do something like this every day or every other day, right? And so when I say that, it wasn't that this lack of expertise. It wasn't caused by the pandemic. It uncovered what our weaknesses are. So because of that, we have to learn new skills. And one, if any of you know me or have attended our sessions before, you will know that I say that, and maybe I'm joking a little bit, but I say that I don't really have a whole lot of talent. What I do have is the ability to figure out what skills I need, and then go out and learn those skills, develop those skills, enhance those skills, and here's the key part: implement them. Okay. I'll send a link on my full background, so we don't need to go into, hey, you know what, this is who I am, this is what I did. So I'll send you a link in the email that I'll send you within 24 hours. That'll explain to you what my background is, and so you can learn a little bit more about me. All right. Now, needless to say, I do have some history, and my business and entrepreneurial journey actually started in 1998. Okay, I started my company in the spare bedroom of my apartment, and I was cold calling companies, 6 to 7 hours a day. And 4 months later, I generated enough clients, I generated enough revenue to be able to get an office and hire a team. Now, the first kinds of people that I hired in the company, most companies they do it the other way around. They hire the legal team, the admin, and all that first, right? What I did was I hired the sales team first. That was always my foundation. My foundation is always in sales and marketing. Now, 22 years later, we have clients in 14 countries. We have representation in the Philippines. My HQ is in the U.S., and then we have a branch office in Malaysia. Now, when we talk about virtual platforms, digital platforms, the first thing that make sure we want to make sure of these four things. You have a quality product, selling at a reasonable price, that gives exceptional value, and you give excellent service. So we have to start with that, because if you have a crappy product, if you have an extremely high price that doesn't match the value, or your service sucks, you'll have some success. But when you have these four things, and I believe everybody here has these four things, all right, we just need to find the avenue and the medium to be able to do this. So why webinars and online platforms? The reason is because we need to replace the face to face because of the current restrictions. Okay. And one of the things that I really like about webinars and online platforms is the flexibility that it gives to us. All right. We can set up a webinar and in any online platform in just a few quick clicks, right? Hang on one sec. All right. So we can do a lot of testing. We've done a couple webinars. We schedule a couple webinars. We've tested topics, right? where the topics were not attractive and nobody registered. We don't tell people about those. We don't make it public, but there are some things that we need to test. We don't know everything, so it gives us a flexibility. We can also run sessions in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It gives us a lot of flexibility. All right, and then if let's say you're talking to a prospect, it's like, hey, you want to jump on a Zoom call? You want to do this, and you know, it rather than driving half an hour, driving 45 minutes, and then you wait for them to show up. You go into the conference room, then you talk to them, small talk, chit chat, another 10 minutes. Then you get to the heart of the discussion. Then you talk for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Then you say goodbye. You jump back in your car, drive back. We're talking about a 3-hour exercise. But when you jump on a webinar or a online conference, the small talk gets cut down. You talk about the topic and then you say, hey, goodbye, and then so you save time. This is my opinion. Now, the effectiveness of face to face is a lot higher than an online format. All right, but we have to do what we have to do. Now, the purpose of these platforms is to inform and educate. You want to disseminate information. Let's say you want to train your clients. Let's say you want to train the employees or your staff members, team members in your organization. You want to be able to sell something. Now, I will mention this. There are some gurus that take it too far. Okay, they go too far in the selling. I've attended. Now we've run probably 130, 140 sessions, since April. But I've attended probably 60, 50 to 60 sessions, just like this, where I'm a participant as well. And in a 1 hour training session, a free training session, in a 1.5 hour training session, the pitch is like 30 to 45 minutes, right? So you nobody says you cannot sell, but do it with some professionalism, do it with some dignity and integrity. All right. You can also use these platforms for lead generation, which is what we've done a lot of. Let's talk about the platforms. Uh, type. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to type in one. You know what? Let's do it this way. I'm going to ask you a question. If you've heard of the platform, I want you to type in the first letter of the platform that I will share with you. Okay, the first one is Zoom. So type in Z if you've heard of Zoom. Okay, that was a trick question, right? Because we've all heard of Zoom. I mean, we're on Zoom right now. Now, have you heard of WebEx? If you've heard of WebEx, type in a W. Okay, the next one is Microsoft Teams. Okay, so if you've heard of Microsoft Teams, type in a T. Okay, awesome. Now, let me ask you this question. We're using Zoom right now. I prefer I prefer this platform. Okay, I prefer Zoom. I like the integrations. I like the layout, the user experience. I personally like Zoom. However, there are people that like WebEx. There are people that like Teams, right? And so uh, I have accounts in Zoom, WebEx, and Teams, and I know how to use those things though. Because let's say there was some controversy several months ago, about Zoom, and they said it's not safe, and Zoom bombing and things like that. Uh, they've fixed all that now, but until now, there are some government agencies, there are some large corporations that do not allow their team members, their staff, to get involved in Zoom or use Zoom in an official capacity. So then we have to look at WebEx and Teams. So I have accounts in all of these three. I'm sure there's a few more, but these are the three main ones. And you need to get familiar on how to use Zoom, how to use WebEx, and how to use Microsoft Teams. Now, there's a couple others that you can look at as well. The next is Webinar Jam. Now, Webinar Jam is very expensive. We have an account, Webinar Jam. I've had it for maybe about 7 or 8 years. I wouldn't recommend that you use that. That's in a different category. Then, of course, we have Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And then, so the question is, how can I get on Facebook, Facebook Live? Um, I don't use StreamYard personally. I do have some clients that do. So you may wanna jot down StreamYard or make a mental note to check out StreamYard. All right. Now, here's the next thing that we want to talk about. The next thing that we want to talk about is video, because you're seeing me here right now. I'm gonna do something here very quickly. Uh, in fact, I'll just stop the share, and I want you to take a look at this. Okay, so right now, what you're seeing is an external video camera. Um, Let me shift this over because I'm actually blocking my actual camera. I'm going to shift over to my internal camera, and then you're going to see the difference. All right. Okay. You see that? I think I still look good because right? Um, but the quality of the video is still very okay. I've used my internal for quite a period of time. Um, but when we start doing more and more and more, we want to get a higher quality, right? So I'm going to switch back to um, my external camera, and I'm going to shift it back so I have my alignment in place. So you see the difference? The color can be adjusted. You can see me a little bit more clear, and everything is a bit more sharp. So I'm not saying don't use your internal camera. I mean, use it if you have nothing else, but try to get something that's a little bit better. The camera that we're using is actually the second camera that I got, because the first one we use Max here, Apple. We have iMax, and the first camera was high quality, but it didn't work with the Mac, so we had to change it and get something that was of higher specs. So this is, I believe, it's 4K, and I definitely know for sure it's full HD. Okay, is it the best quality that we have? No, because we're still testing a couple of things. All right, um, let me get back to the slides here. Okay, so you have the let's see. Okay, so you have the your internal camera, then you have your external camera. Now, this is not a technical presentation. I'm trying to point you in the right direction with all of the different components. All right. You can also use a phone cam. Your phone camera is actually a very high quality camera. You don't need to buy like an external camera. Um, with Macs, it's a little bit hard, to connect unless you have iPhones. And I don't use an iPhone. I haven't used an iPhone in I don't know how long. And for me, I prefer Android. So it's quite an exercise to connect a phone cam to your desktop to be able to use that. But it's very doable, and once you do it, it's done. So, like I said, I'm not here to teach you how to connect your phone camera to your laptop or your desktop. What you need to do is you go on YouTube and you find there's guys in YouTube that will teach you step by step. There's even videos that teach you this particular phone to this laptop. Now, another option that you have is a DSLR camera or a video camera. The DSLR and the video camera are super, super clear, super high quality. All right. Um, you probably need to get something called a video capture card, and you can connect it and test your video camera, your DSLR, with the I'm sorry, with the video capture card, and you're going to have a very high quality video output. All right. Once again, search on how to do it. It's actually for me. in my opinion, it's a slightly easier process to connect your DSLR and your video camera than it is to connect your phone. But very, very doable. Now, let's talk about this one. Uh, we have audio. Now, there's three mediums in a webinar format. We have the video, which is what we see. Then now we have the audio, right? We cannot do the feel and touch. We cannot do that, right? In a face to face, we have several different mediums we can communicate in. But in this format, we basically communicate in listening and the speech and what you see. Okay. Now for the device microphone, we have a few options. I'm sorry, for the microphones, for the audio, we have a few different options. The first is, of course, I believe every laptop, every desktop has its own internal microphone. If you have nothing else, if everything else fails, that's when you use your internal microphone. Other than that, do not use your internal microphone, and definitely do not use your internal speakers because you're going to get feedback. Now, this setup here that you see, okay, I have wireless earbuds and I have microphone here. I'll talk about that in a bit. Now, a better option than your internal microphone would be phone earphones. You know, earphones that you get with your mobile phone. You can use that. You can use a headset. I've used this. I've used this. This is a Plantronics headset. It's both Bluetooth and connected by I believe it's a 2.4 gigahertz, little dongle thing. Um, this is Bluetooth. This works extremely well. I use this nonstop for about 7 or 8 months. Uh, Very clear in the audio, very clear in the speech, uh, but only when you use a dongle. When I connect this with Bluetooth, it became very staticky and very unclear. This is let's see, if I remember correctly, this is a 300 USD uh, headset, wireless. All right, and then so I was very surprised with the static when I connected with Bluetooth. Then I found out that Bluetooth has something called latency. That means there's a delay when it's communicating by Bluetooth, and it's a lot quicker when it communicates with the 2.4. I think it's 2.4 gigahertz dongle. All right. That is a better option than your internal microphone. A better option than the wireless. I'm sorry, the wire headphones. Nothing wrong with those. All right. Then of course you have like a microphone like this. When you get something like this, it needs to have its internal. I think they call it like a booster or an audio box or a phantom box. And what you need to do when you have a setup like this and you're connecting it to your computer, you need to boost up and lower the static and be able to control a few things. And what you need is excuse me, what you need is something called a phantom or an audio box. And the reason I have these on is because I need to hear if anybody says anything. I need to hear the sound that's coming out of the presentation. And you don't want to use your internal speakers because it's going to cause feedback. Now, let's talk about lighting. All right. Um, Lighting is a little challenging. I'm going to show you what it looks like without lights right now. Hang on one sec. Let's off this and those. Okay, so hang on one sec. Just take. Okay, so this is what it looks like with only natural light. I have light coming in from the window over here, and it's coming across my face. It's making this part, I believe, it's making this part like really bright, and then this part really dark. So we have two sets of lights. Okay, so now we put the overhead, and it evens out it evens out. Uh, I think it evens out the skin tone, right? Now, please understand, this is not a lighting tutorial. Yeah, I'm by no means an expert in lighting. So we put one light on, but this side is a little bit brighter, right? And so the tone is a little uneven. So we put on a secondary light. Okay, we have a couple settings. This is too bright, this is too orange, and so we kind of diffuse it, and we came up with this. All right. So you have to check your left, your right, the light at the back and the light at the top. Try your very best not to sit with your back to a window, because it's going to be like, it's going to silhouette you. All right. If you can, it's better if you sit it off to the side, or if you're facing the window. That's really the best. um, but you have to do your own kind of test. But just know that if you're doing this on a regular basis, you gotta fix your lighting. All right. Now let's talk about the background. The background, you can have natural. Natural would be, you're at your whatever table, and then you see the TV or you see the kitchen. That's natural. All right. That's okay for a quick one-off meeting, here and there. But if you want to project a slightly better image, you need to reorganize yourself. All right. You need to reorganize yourself so that the perception is the best that you want to put out. All right. So then you have virtual backgrounds. Now, if anybody uses virtual backgrounds, I'm okay with that. I personally am not a fan of virtual backgrounds. That's why we don't use. I don't like to use virtual backgrounds, because when you use a virtual background, especially if it's not done right, you're going to see that halo around you. You're going to see sometimes your face disappears and then it comes back. For whatever reason, um, I don't use virtual. Your virtual background has to be a slightly higher quality, um, and so you got to test those out. But if if your background is the kitchen with the stove and dirty dishes there, then yes, a virtual background is better than that. Now, the next one that we have is what I call the design background. You see, behind me, we have a brick wall, but it's not a real brick wall. I'm sure you all can tell that. But at a glance, it looks better than the kitchen. It looks, for me, I believe it looks better than a virtual background. The next place that will probably, I'm probably going to shift in maybe about 6 months. All right. So I won't have this background, but what I was thinking of doing is that we get wallpaper that kind of looks like, um, what do you call that? A bookshelf. All right. Because I actually have thousands of books, but not here. All my books are in the U.S., and when I travel, when I move around, I have my books in a digital format. All right. Now you have another option, and it's called OBS project. All right. You'll want to write this down, OBS project, and you want to take a look at that. Um, I started looking at OBS project. Well, what OBS project is like, you can set your background. You can put like like your logo here, there. A lot of these platforms like Zoom, WebEx, and Teams, right? It's some of the options are limited. So OBS project is open source. So what they did was they made an interface where you can change a lot of things. All right. Unfortunately, what you need to have is, you need to have, to be able to connect OBS project to your computer. You need something called a virtual camera. And so OBS project has a virtual camera that you can download, but they do not have a download for Apple computers, iMacs, Mac Pros, just yet. So there are other alternatives to OBS project, but the it's not clear, it's not crisp. Okay, so if you're not using an Apple computer, then take a look at OBS project. It's very interesting. It's a little difficult to use at first, but once you start using it, I actually started playing around with it, and then I tried to bring it into my computer, and I found that I couldn't. I was very disappointed because I really like I really like the interface. Okay, so let's talk about the slides. I've attended 50 to 60 webinars and online sessions from other people, and I break down the presentation style into a couple different ways. Okay, the first is well, first we have to realize this: it's actually very difficult to talk to yourself in the camera. Okay, it takes practice, and the more that you do it, the better you're going to be at it. And I call it like doing a rep. Like in the gym, you do a rep. The more reps you do, the better you're going to be. Okay, so you have a presentation with slides, but all you do is like talk about the prepare the slides, talk about it, and we'll talk about the structure on that in a little bit as well. Then you have presentation without slides. I've not done that. I've on sessions like this, I've had guests that do that. They interact without slides because they're very comfortable to do that. When you have that kind of situation, you only have one form of the eyes looking, and it can get a little monotonous because when you're in a hotel or you're in an auditorium and the person is just talking, you have other things to keep your mind on it. But right now it's very one dimensional, one way. Okay, so if you don't like to do slides, if you like to do like more presentation without slides, my suggestion is have at least one or two, unless your conversation is only like 20 to 30 minutes. I think anything longer than that, you need to have a couple slides just to drive home the point. Then you have a panel or a forum. Okay, a panel or a forum is like you have two or three presenters, and then people ask questions, they give their opinions, and uh, just like a panel discussion. Then you have conversational where let's say you pick a few people in the audience, and then you have a conversation, kind of like a panel forum, except the panel forum is for example you the presenter and two or three other people from the audience. Okay, so let's go into the tips. What should you present? Okay, in your or what should how should you present? Okay, the who, what, when, where, why, and I left out one because I like the W's. You need to write this down. I left out one is the how. What you need to cover in your sessions are who, what, when, where, why, and how. And the structure is very simple. The tell is something that has been around for decades and decades, and it gives a very simple formula on how you structure your presentation, how you structure your conversation. The tell is very simple. It's tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So when we started this presentation, I told you that we're going to cover these topics. Right now, I'm covering the topics, and then when we end, I'll recap the things that we talked about. So the tell them what you told them, then tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Okay. This next tip, I get so angry when a presenter does this. Okay. Please do not, do not, do not, do not ever, ever, ever do this. I attended a session, uh, let's see, it would have been about 4 weeks or 5 weeks ago. I was excited because I wanted to learn in that session. And, there were so many things going wrong from that trainer. Uh, First of all, um, this is not in the slide, so I'll make this point. Okay, first of all, your camera has to be roughly at your eye level. You don't want the camera looking up at you like that, okay? Because then they're gonna see like into your nose and into your brain. All right. So this trainer had the camera up, and so it's like I'm looking up at her like that, right? And then she had a background. She had a virtual background. It was like skyscrapers, but taking from a street level, looking up. So I felt like I was laying on the floor, looking up at her into her nose and looking up at the buildings. It was first of all, it was very off-putting. Okay, then when the slides came on, there was a lot of text on the slides, a lot of text. It was like two, three, four, five paragraphs. And what she did was she read each and every single word on all the slides from the start to the finish. Okay? You see, if you're reading your slides, if you're reading your slides, I might as well just read it myself. I don't need you there, right? So please, please do not ever, ever, ever read from slides. Okay, tip number three, don't make excuses. Okay, uh, because of the number of webinars and sessions we've done and the number of webinars and sessions that I've attended, a lot of trainers like, oh, you know what? I usually cover this in like, 2 days, and now I got to do it in 45 minutes. So then why am I here? If you're giving me the watered down version that is useless, why am I here? All right. When something goes wrong, do not panic and don't make excuse. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I have slow internet. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this, do that. Don't make excuses. What you do is you keep yourself calm and you solve the situation that's going on, and you reassure your audience that something's being done about it, and just give me 1 or 2 minutes and I'll get this done and I will fix it. All right. Now, the next tip is building rapport. Building rapport is something that you need to do because you need to build the trust and the confidence, and you need to build the likability factor. We try to make on our sessions, we try to make the participants comfortable, because what I do is also I try to learn the names of the participants before we do the session. When someone comes on, I welcome them. I come in a few times and I engage a little bit. I think you've all experienced that, right? Excuse me. And then we try to get feedback and engagement. Feedback and engagement. I've been on sessions where everybody type one, type one, type one. They're trying to get you like like all excited to type one. Um, I I've seen this and I don't like this. It's like, come on, everybody, type one now, type one now, type one now, and then it's like, dude, it's like, what are you doing? Okay, this is how you get feedback and engagement. Like when you ask a question, some presenters will do this. It's like, um, do you all agree with me? Type one now, type one now, type one now. Okay, this is how I do it, and this is how I suggest you do it. You've seen me do it. Okay, you tell them, ladies and gentlemen. Basically, yeah, this is a structure. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to ask you, when I ask you that question, I'm going to ask you to type Y for yes and N for no. Okay, so this is the question. The question is, can you type, or okay, let's do this. Have you heard of Zoom before? Type yes for yes. I'm sorry, type Y for yes and N for no. So what you're doing is you're telling. See, you don't see people most of the time, right? If you do, it's okay. If you don't see people, you cannot assume that they're glued to the screen watching you. They might be, shifting off their attention. They might be dozing off a little. So what you do is you catch their attention. It's like, hey, I'm going to ask you a question. And then they're, oh, he's going to ask us a question. And then you tell them, this is the response that I want you to give when I ask you the question. Type Y for yes, N for no. And then your participants will go, oh, okay, yes, Y for yes, N for no. Okay, let's listen to the question now. And then you ask the question, and then they go, oh, it's yes. And then they type Y for yes and N for no. And that's how you ask a question, not, hey, do you all da, 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 yes or no? Type yes, type yes, type yes, type yes. Come on, type yes. I get so irritated when I see presenters doing that. All right, and then if you ask the question the wrong way, and nobody answers, then you don't look cool, right? And your feedback that you're getting from your audience and the engagement that you have is way, way down. Okay. Now let's get into tip number five. The purpose the purpose of every online engagement that you do is to educate, inform, and entertain. Okay. If you educate only, people get bored. If you inform only, people get bored. If you entertain only, yes, people feel excited, but what do they walk away with? All right. The information that you share, it should be relevant, timely, and valuable. What does that mean? It means it has to make sense to them. It has to make sense to them, and they have to appreciate that information because they can use it, and they can use it now, and they can use it now, and they go, man, you know what? I'm glad I learned this. Okay. Tip number six, don't make excuses. Uh, when something goes wrong, apologize for it. When something, there's a hitch, fix it. Don't make excuses. Apologize and then move on. All right. Now let's go into tip number seven. We talk about the slides. Talk about the color and the graphics. If you notice on my slides, I believe they're rather simple. They're not over the top. I've seen slides that look like cartoons. I've seen slides that have whole paragraphs on them, and then you have to like read, and then it's okay if the presenter doesn't read every single word. That's okay, but man, if they read every single word, ah, why do I need you then? An audio. I don't need an audiobook. I can read on my own. All right. Your slides must be simple. You must have some color. Uh, try to try to follow aesthetics. Put some graphics in that are appropriate for the slide. Okay, because the slides do a couple things. The first is the slides keep you on track. All right. What you see on the screen there, I know what I'm going to say on each of the points that shows up on the screen. Um, I have notes that help me, or I have stories attached to the words on the slides that I can share. I hope that makes sense. All right. Okay. I want to share with you um, the Sales Skills live webinar series. Now, I want to invite you to the other sessions that we're having. I have 10 more sessions. You can view the rest of the topics and the dates on the link that I'll provide to you within 24 hours. I'll send the link to you so you can look at the topics and the dates. Okay. Uh, Most of them, in fact, all of them will deal with sales and marketing, but there will be a couple in there that deal with digital marketing, handling objections. Well, just take a look at the link, look at the topics that we have coming up, look at the dates. I promise you, this whole series is all free. Okay. For those of you that attended the first session last week, um, I didn't try to hard sell you anything. I'm giving you information. A couple people have reached out already, so we're using this as a lead generation and prospect qualifying as well. Okay, so take a look at that, and I sincerely hope I will see you on future sessions. Now, we'll talk about Facebook and digital marketing. We're going to get into our Q&A in just a minute, so please get your questions ready. If you have questions, write it down. Write it down. I'm here to answer them for you. And I want to share a couple of resources with you. I've got two, three free things for you. All right. The first is the Facebook and social media campaign checklist, and the next is the Facebook and social media post and ad structure guideline. I'll get these free things sent out to you together with the recording of this session. And if you haven't got it yet, there will be a link for you to request these documents. And when you request this, I'll also send you a special program on getting your digital marketing funnel set up and ready for you. One of the things I believe is that if you focus on marketing, yes, you should earn business. And then when you stop, if the business dries up, it means that you are the key in that marketing funnel. Now, if you're able to set up a digital marketing funnel that works with or without you, then you can take a break, you can go on vacation, you can do other things, and when you come back, there's leads and prospects ready and waiting for you. Now, I'll send you all these details with you to you within 24 hours. So with that, we'll enter into the Q&A. I'm going to stop the screen share right now. Okay. All right. So, oh, Donna, thank you for saying that. From bottom of my heart, I appreciate the your comment. I won't share what that comment is, but it's a very good comment. Now we have another question. What do you do if your audience is not participating? See, right now, I have no idea. All I see Daniel, but I don't see anybody else. This is what I would do. I would say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into our Q&A right now. Do me a favor. Let's put your video on so we can look at each other. I'll wait for Justin, Donnell, Samuel, Zam. Good to see you again. So let's get the video on. Do you see how that was done, Donna? Yes. Okay. See, you didn't respond when I asked you because your microphone is off, right? So what we can do is like uh, you ask the question and you prompt it. This is how you do it in real life. Okay. Uh, I'm gonna do a quick demonstration right now. Zam, you can hear me, okay?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay.
clearly.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Keep your microphone on because I'm gonna show you how we force engagement. Do you want to see that?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. So, hey, Zam, it's good to see you here again. You listen to the things that we talked about. You would agree with me that the things that you learned today can be valuable in your business and your profession, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. You see, I phrase the questions in such a way that if he said no, all of us would. I'm not saying you are, yeah, Zam. Okay, this example only, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Uh, I phrase the questions in such a way that you actually have no psychological choice except to answer yes.
I understand. That
Okay,
is great.
right? Because if I had said, um, I want you to say no this time, all right? I want you to say no. Uh, hey,
Right.
Zam, did you learn anything today? Say no.
Um, Actually, not. I did
Okay.
not
Now,
understand.
now this is just demonstration, yeah. So whoever's listening, you did learn something, right? But you see, when you ask a question like
Yeah.
that, the question might be yes or no, and we don't know, right? Okay. So now I want you to try your best to say no. Zam, you try your best to say
Okay.
no. Okay.
Okay.
Hey Zam, it was really good to uh, uh, have you here with us today. So, we learn a couple of things. We learn about how to do the camera, how to do the lighting, how to do the video and the audio. These are things that you can use in your business and has benefit to you, right?
Actually, it's not that applicable to us.
Okay, understood. I understand that it's not applicable to you, uh, but would you be able to take one or two of the techniques and use it at least once or twice a week in your business?
Well, we're actually doing something different.
Okay, so I'm trying to get you to say I'm trying to get you to say yes. You're fighting hard not to say yes, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You see, here's the thing. The instruction to Zam was to try to say no. And uh, how you were feeling here is that, oh, Chris asked me to say no, but it was the way that I was saying it. It was like you got no choice but to say yes, but you had to fight really hard to say no. Does that make sense? Right?
Yes,
Do you kind of agree with that?
I
You can
understand.
say yes now.
Yes.
Okay, so you see, even when I told Zam to say no, it was very hard to say no because of the phrasing. Okay, and if you want engagement, this was a perfect example of how to do it. I requested everyone to put the cameras on, right, so that we're all looking at each other. Correct. That's the first one.
Right.
Second one, I looked at who at that moment looked engaging. It was at that moment it was Donna, and it was Zam. And the reason I'll share this with you. Okay, the reason I picked Zam is because we had a conversation last week, and I remember, and uh, uh, let's see, it was Donna, right? This one is a little fuzzy. It was Donna that said, "We're gonna see y'all. Chris, we're gonna see you for all the sessions." Correct? Was it you, Donna, that said that? I think it was, right?
Yes, it was me.
Okay. So
Yes.
then I remembered that Zam was like, very engaging in our last conversation. So I said, okay, we're gonna pick Zam as the victim. I mean, volunteer. Okay. So,
I'm
and this
assaulted.
is, yeah, this is another technique. Use humor. Um, you see, when I know when I say we're gonna, of course, we all say, hey, I want to pick a volunteer. Everyone is like, oh, like that, right? But when I say victim, and then I say, oh no, no, not victim, volunteer, then everybody laughs. It gets you more relaxed. So those are techniques. Okay.
Mhm.
Did that kind of answer your question, Donna?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, awesome. I'll drive home this point. Oh, one more tip. When you're going to cough, do this so that nobody hears you coughing as best that you can. Okay. Here's another tip that I want to share with you. I'm going to drive home this point. This is how you increase engagement in getting people to raise their hand or give a thumbs up, or type one for yes, yeah, whatever it is in the chat. Right. You tell them, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you a question, and since we're talking right now, uh, I'm going to get feedback from you. Okay. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you a question right now. Is that okay? If it's okay, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if it's okay if I ask you a question. So I'm getting you to engage with me, and I'm telling you how to engage. I'm not like, hey, can I ask you all a question? And then it's like, yeah, but how do I answer you? Then I go, yes. People don't know. You have to tell them what to do. Not that they're dumb, but you want to make it easy for them. I don't want to think, hey, how am I going to answer him? Ah, just don't answer. So I will put you down a path so that we have engagement. All right. So it's ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you a question? Thumbs up if it's okay to ask you a question. Thumbs up. Yes, it's okay. Thumbs up. Okay. So then I ask for your permission, but I'm also instructing you what to do. So then I'll say, when I ask you this question, I want you to type in yes for yes, no for no. So now they're ready. Okay, he's going to ask me a question. And this is the response I'm going to give: yes for yes, no for no. Then you ask the question, and then you instruct them, type in yes for yes, no for no. And that's how you get engagement and feedback. Did that make sense, ladies and gentlemen? Yes? Thumbs up if it's yes. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so do we have any other questions? Do we have any other questions for me? You can type your question in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, and you can ask. You can just ask me directly. Okay. If not, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick
Yeah,
screenshot picture of
share
everyone.
a feedback.
I,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
please.
Say again.
Yeah, yeah. Just want to share two feedback.
Sure, please go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. Um, in terms of the teleconferencing software, I
Right?
found there is another software or program named Google Meet.
Yes.
So yeah, for my to my knowledge, I think Google Meet is free.
Yes, it
So
is.
yeah. So for like Zoom, you for free version you only got 45 minutes.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean yours must be paid one.
Yes.
Yeah. Secondly, regarding the PowerPoint, yeah,
Right?
I agree with you. Some of us love to read all the word, all the words.
Yes.
That is when they do it like power sentence, not PowerPoint.
Right.
So
Correct.
yeah, so when you write very long sentence, you tend to read it out. Yeah, that's
Yes.
it.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you for sharing that, Daniel. Google Meets, I've tried it. Um, I don't prefer it. But some of us like chicken, some of us like duck, correct? And that's why we have WebEx, Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet because everybody's a little different. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of everyone right now. So everybody looking serious is exactly what I'm looking for. Everybody still continue looking serious. Okay. Hold on one sec. Let me just stop the live stream right now. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is the last picture we all kind of look serious. Um, can we try to like smile a little bit? No, I'm just kidding. You know what? Let's try this. Let's try everyone giving a great big smile on the count of three. All right. On the count of three, give the greatest, biggest smile that you can. Stretch your mouth ear to ear. On the count of three. One, two, three. Awesome. And I don't know if I want to ask you guys to go crazy because Lance might jump in the water behind him, and then Zam might run to the bridge and jump off. So I'm not going to ask you to go crazy. I'm not going to ask you, Donna. You might like climb on a chair or a table and start waving your hands around. What I am going to ask you to do is either give me a thumbs up or that little love thing. Okay, on the count of three, it's up to you, but give a great big smile as well. On the count of three, one, two, three. Awesome. Thank you. And I want to give everyone a hand for being on our session here today. Donnell, it was I think this is the first time we're seeing you, Donnell. Justin, I think we've had you before. Lance, I cannot quite remember. Have you attended any of our sessions before? Okay, first time. Okay, awesome. So I want to acknowledge all of you for taking the time out and sharing some time with us. And I hope and I trust that we shared some relevant information with you today. And it's my sincere request that we see you on further sessions in this series. All right. Do you have any other comments or questions or anything that you want to mention to me or to any of the other participants?
Please have Donnell as your victim next time, if I may
Okay,
request.
I will do that. All right. So if you want me to do that, Zemel, then you have to make sure that Donnell is here with us. All right. If
We
not, you will
will.
be
We
the
will.
victim. If not, you will be the victim. Volunteer all the time.
I'll
Okay.
be on the bridge. You won't see me.
Okay. Be on the bridge. All right. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know, Donna. I want to wish everyone a blessed weekend. Stay safe and blessings for all of us. Okay.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Goodbye, everyone.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.